forget who it was who said the problem with the church is the conservatives aren't liberal and the liberals aren't conservative. And I think the point they were making is, why is it that there seems to be this divide between those who are intent on getting doctrine and liturgy right, and then it feels like on the other side you've got people who are running soup kitchens and wanting to take care of the immigrant and the poor. Where did that come from? Why does it remain? Why shouldn't it remain?
I think a lot of it has to do, it shouldn't remain. We need a coming together of the pro-life wing of the church and the social justice wing of the church, to use these hackneyed categories.
Yeah, good. And then I was going to say, try to rehabilitate that word real quick, because people hear social justice and they just think leftism.
Yeah, and that's precisely the problem, and not without certain justification, because this is how the bifurcation happens. All right, a certain kind of a Catholic who is very concerned with outreach to the poor, to those who are economically disadvantaged, to the immigrant. Catholics who are very anti-war and anti-military industrial complex. You get the who are in favor of health care for all. Those sorts of Catholics. It's very hard for us, let me back up a second. It's very hard for any human being not to think in political categories. And so eventually what happens is you begin to drift towards whatever politics most supports your favored causes. And if your favored cause is economic egalitarianism and equality for the masses and universal health care and free and open immigration, you're going to gravitate towards Democrats. Oh, but the Democrats have this thing with abortion. And so you end up saying, well, we're not just going to pay any attention to that. All right. And anytime you're reminded then, hey, you're a Catholic and abortion is important, and euthanasia is important, and assisted suicide is important, and, in vitro fertilization, all that stuff matters, and you don't want to hear that. It makes you uncomfortable. It's because it's upsetting your politics. Now, it's also then true of pro-life people. They're great on all the life issues. And in both cases, you can't do everything.
Yeah.
If that's your cause, great. If that's your cause, great. But what happens then is you wed your cause to a particular political party. So the conservative Catholic who's pro-life and abortion is his or her preeminent issue, say, well, the Republicans are better on that. Donald Trump is good on that. Roe v. Wade got overturned. I ran into this all the time. I don't want to get into my politics, but, I didn't vote for Kamala Harris. I didn't vote for Donald Trump either. But there's a certain kind of Catholic that came after me and said, Trump, man, pro-life, that's where it's at. And I felt like saying, this is what happens when you reduce the moral causes you're fighting for to the political apparatus that you think is going to best ensconce those values. And so the Catholic right and left become just as bifurcated as every other American out there in terms of liberal versus conservative. And this is unfortunate, very unfortunate, because there is a deep connection. Dorothy Day saw this. Dorothy Day was as conservative as they come when it came to sexual morality, the life issues. And because she saw that there is a deep connection between, as St. Paul himself, between moral licentiousness in the sexual domain and social injustice.
Yeah. Here's what's interesting to me, though, which I'd like you to explore. How come these constellation of issues seem to group around both left and right, to use political categories? So if you're on the right, why is it that pro-life, good liturgy, sacred music, right doctrine, why does that all... I mean, I guess it makes sense why sacred liturgy and that makes sense to me, but you've also got pro-life in there, which is a lot different. And then over here, you've got taking care of, the immigrant and the poor.
These are complex sociological questions. Numerous scholars these days, from Charles Taylor's Secular Age, A Secular Age to others, Eugene McCarraher's great, big, huge, wonderful book, The Enchantments of Mammon. He's at Villanova, I think. They've cataloged the fact that, okay, we live in an age of, I don't want to get overly academic here, but we live in this secular era of demystification. The old gods have been banished. So our public square, our public domain has become very antiseptic, spiritually very secularized. And it seems as if those on the left who gravitate towards issues more of economic justice and immigration have now suddenly become obsessed with sexual justice for every sexual minority on the face of the, Bill Clinton called it sexual minority on the face of the earth. So I think a lot of it has to do with their secularization has led to them to become gradually morally exhausted with the deeper and more substantive issues, and have therefore gravitated towards the simple issue of liberating the autonomous self, whatever selves want, and especially in the area of sex. So I tie part of this. My point is the bifurcation, and the statistics point this out. If you're pro-life and Republican and conservative and you care about good music and good liturgy, it's because you haven't become completely secularized yet. You still care about spiritual things and God and so forth. So I'm not here arguing for, I think, a spiritual and moral equivalency between right and left. I think the right is the superior metaphysical spiritual vision of, and I think right-wing Catholics get some issues wrong, and I wish they would pay more attention to the soul as a Catholic worker, to the economic justice issues. But my heart leans in the conservative direction, and why I define myself as a conservative, because I think at least the conservatives still believe in God, and that God matters. And I think it's why they are so keen on the life issues, because they understand there's something really foundational, right, Matt, about this. If you can murder a child in utero, then you're capable of anything. All bets are now off. There's something foundational about the pro-life issues that don't involve the kinds of prudential judgments that more left-wing issues do. Like, reasonable people can disagree about what our immigration policy ought to be. There's no hard and fast moral absolute that says, here's how many immigrants and what countries we have to let in. There's all kinds of prudential considerations there. But there are no prudential considerations on whether or not I as a doctor should help somebody kill themselves, or whether I as a doctor should be involved in prenatal homicide. Okay, and there are foundational critical issues involved that I think that conservatives get and understand. And I think more left-wing Catholics, I think they don't.
Hey, thank you so much for watching. Before you go, do us a favor, leave a comment, let us know what you thought of the video, like, and subscribe.